Ladies and gentlemen, whether you follow chess closely or not much at all, there is one name you must know. And it's not the name that I usually feature in most of my videos. This individual is from Uzbekistan, and he just won the Candidates Tournament in 2026. In a few months' time, we might be looking at the next world champion. And his name is Javokhir Sindarov. And I beat him. I got paired against him on chess.com, and we played, and I won. In fact, I won 4 times. Now, don't ask me how many times he beat me, okay? And definitely don't go through the game history. Just pretend that I beat the next world championship challenger and potentially champion 4 times. He beat me a lot, you know? He beat me like a drum, all right? He wrung me out like a wet towel. It was really a tough match. Now, all jokes aside, it was bullet. And what's crazy is it was around 7 p.m. here, which means it was 1 or 2 in the morning in Romania. And I know that Sindarov is in Romania because he played me while in the middle of a tournament. Not like while the tournament was going on, but the night before an important round. I have a bunch of games I want to show you. I'm going to show you games that I got absolutely destroyed in. I'm going to show you how I also beat him. I did have a couple of games I was very proud, and I fought, you know. I don't think it should have been as lopsided as it was. Yeah, I mean, this is the closest I can get in strength to somebody Sindarov's level. It's if we have a minute on the clock. It started out very, very poorly. We started out playing. Let me bring back the P sound. Sometimes when I disconnect my headphones, the sound goes away. He was playing some different openings. I was playing a modern defense. And in this game, I got very dynamic off the bat. You know, I tried to get my knight to f5. He gave me the bishop pair. And actually, from the opening, I mean, I just had a very comfortable position. I played knight e7. I brought my bishop back here. And then I went for f5. And my plan here was h6, king h7. You know, white is going to try to advance on this side of the board. But from the opening, I was very comfortable. I got a position that I was very happy with. And when he played the move knight g5 with the idea to play knight e6, there's actually nothing to this. In fact, I want the knight on e6 because after takes, I can close this diagonal. But I closed the diagonal the wrong way. You see, I played this move, which I thought very natural. Knight can't go to d5. Bishop kind of blocked. You know, if I get a couple more moves, maybe I'll win this pawn. Rook f6, rook e6. Queen c8 I would love to play, but I can't because then the queen takes the pawn on d6, which would be tremendously sad. So, yeah. You know, I would maybe go here. He goes queen b3, and I'm like, we can trade the queens because I'm going to put my rook in f8, and then I'm going to bring my bishop. And then my plan was bring the rook, bring the bishop, and then walk my king and take this pawn. I actually didn't see anything that he could do to my position. He went rook d1, I traded, and went rook d8. And I thought I was just doing very well. And then Javokhir played b4. Now, again, in bullet chess, you are making every decision in half a second. I'm looking at the position, and I needed to close out the bishop immediately. This is actually a very instructive, and I say that in a lot of videos. I've seen you guys making fun of me in the comments. You be a YouTuber for more than half a decade. You know, people just start finding a word you use a lot, and then they're like, he uses the word a lot. All right, anyway, instructive. Closing out the bishop here is good for me, because I also activate my bishop. And then if he plays f3, this trade is actually beneficial for black. It frees up my bishop to move, and when he goes and protects himself, this is an advantage compared to the previous version. My bishop is more active. I anchor the center pawn. What happens in this game is he beats me with all he has. He beats me with all he has. I go bishop to f8. Remember, my plan was to go king g7, king f6. He goes b5. I'm like, I don't even need to acknowledge that move. And all of a sudden, he has a second b pawn. At this point, I'm like, do I have to worry about b5? I'm pretty sure I'm just winning this pawn. Now, e4 is still maybe going to keep it together. I go king f6. He goes b5. Now is basically my last chance. And I try to go e4 now. And I thought I did it at the right moment. The problem is, even though he takes and both pawns are hanging, I am not going to win both. If I take on c6, I'm going to show you what happens in the game. If I take on e6, I didn't like taking on e6 because I thought he would immediately go f3. And now I'm not ever winning this pawn back because if something like rook c8, he has knight b5, he's first to attack me over here. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to take on e6. I'm going to take on c6 and then on e6. And that doesn't work because this is a check and I can't take the pawn because I would get forked. So the only option I have is king e5 or walking away from the pawn or just sacrificing material. I didn't see king e5. In bullet, I just took the pawn. I was like, all right, whatever. Except this is really bad because I walked directly into the rooks anyway. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he brings the bishop around and now I'm just completely lost. So I just get completely humiliated here. Rooks, bishop, everything mowing me down. Pawn check, rook c7, and he's just queening. And I mean, honestly, this was an all right game. It was a pretty decent position. All he needed was 2 pawns, and I lost. And I just got totally punked on the queen side. This match started really, really poorly for me. We had another game that was, this one was a bit more of a King's Indian type of game. It went slightly differently. This game was much more dynamic than the endgame. I transferred my knight to this side of the board. I was instigating with him. I was attacking. And again, I managed to get a pretty equal position. Like, again, I was holding serve. I was doing well on the clock against Sindarov. But he always finds that, like, next level to attack in the 40th and 50th move, whereas I'm like, oh, I did my job, my position looks good. Here comes the pawn. Here comes the pawn. He breaks apart my structure. He actually gave me a pawn. I'm up a pawn, but he's better because he gets the rook to the 7th rank, and now I'm, like, defending this and this. I went here. He took my pawn, and he just has a better position now. Why? Because he has an outside passed A pawn. I have doubled pawns and a weak C pawn. Rook C7 is there. My rook is also terrible, stuck in between my pieces, whereas his rook is really good. And he's building his time advantage. 7 seconds with 30 seconds on the clock is a massive gap of time, right? So he's always able to add another level of the pressure. I'm trying to fight back, and actually, I do. I got to give myself a little credit. I fight back to equalize the game, and I'm only 3 seconds away. So this kept happening where, like, we'd go back and forth. He would have the advantage for the majority of the games, but then I would fight back to get to equality. But playing a time scramble against a world championship caliber player in an endgame is just so tough because my first instinct in an endgame isn't correct. Like, I went here, he went a5. I could take it. Like, I can straight up take the pawn. But again, you're trying to make moves really fast, so mentally you have a move prepared. And then he went here. I can trade queens and go here. And it's just a draw. But it didn't matter because even in these positions, like 13.8, 16.9, first of all, I'm old. 30 is not old, but in bullet, it's ancient. And it's just hard to play the best moves. Ultimately, Javokhir, despite the equal endgame, even here, apparently King F7 is a draw. King F7 is a draw because after the move E4, I go E6, and I'm virtually guaranteed to trade some pieces here. And if he goes like E3, for example, I just keep my king like this. He goes King G4, I go King F6, and then here, I just, it's a draw. Like, I knew it was a draw, but I have, 1 second, and I ended up losing the game because E5 check, and now F6, and I'm not going to be able to run my king over here. Guys, the match started so badly for me. Here was another game where, like, I managed to get him into a totally equal position. I just wanted to draw. And I would always find a way to lose. Like, I'm down a pawn in this endgame. I'm still doing well. All I have to do is avoid back rank checkmate. And I went here to attack his pawn, and he just took my pawn, and I can't take because rook A1. So the match begins. It's 5-0 Javokhir. I'm down 5-0. I might have even been down 6. I'm thinking, okay, I should probably quit and just go eat dinner. But I gotta play a Scandinavian. Let's play a Scandinavian against the World Championship challenger. Takes. I go here. I've made a Scandinavian course. This is in my Scandinavian course. Most people here play bishop d2, then knight c6. He's smart. He knows the tricky line, which is to play knight e2 and try to play c3. Weak castle. He goes here. Game is going on. h3. And we have a pretty reasonable position. And then Javokhir plays rook e1. I'm like, wait a minute. That rook is unprotected, which means my queen, and that rook, which means this pawn is not guarding this pawn. And when I played knight takes d4, I realized two things. Number one, Javokhir Sindarov had blundered a pawn. Number two, I'm probably still going to lose because I suck. Like, in no way, I'm like, okay, well, this is... The thing is, you have to understand, when most people win a pawn, they think, I'm up a pawn, time to do something with this. When I win a pawn, it's, I'm up a pawn, time to not embarrass myself for the umpteenth time. He took this pawn, which couldn't possibly be a good move. I mean, I definitely thought he needed to move his queen back. He went here, and I was like, is this not just a fork? I'm forking him. I'm forking Sindarov. I'm going to win his rook. Now, it gets even worse because, you know, you would think he needs to move his bishop. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take in the corner, and then I'm going to go rook b8. And then when he moves the queen, like here, I'm going to take on b2. So not only am I'm winning a rook for a knight, I'm forcing his rook out of the game, and I'm winning a pawn and wrecking his queenside. He might be Sindarov, but dare I say, I think I would win this position. I mean, maybe not. So he thought for a while, because he was trying to go for complications, and then he went b3, and he went b3 and resigned. And I realized he was trying to go b4. He wanted to go b4, which is a move that allows me to make a mistake. It at least attacks my queen. The problem is, after queen b6, and I don't blunder my queen anywhere, we're going to have to trade queens, and I'm going to win a rook. He probably wouldn't trade with me, and then I would take, and then I would play a5, and, you know, the game, you know, he would try to trap my knight, and etc. And then I would probably, you know, actually, queen c6 is nasty, because he can't even take my knight. So he resigned. I won a game. I won a game. I'm not going to get completely humiliated. But then it got better. I didn't just win stupid games. This next game was a banger. I was really proud of this game, you know? This was a momentum-building game. So in this game, I played with white, and he played a King's Indian defense. I played one of my favorite variations, which is the 4 pawns attack, one of the most aggressive lines, one of the only openings you get to ride with the 4, you know. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist named Siegfried Lloyd who had 4 Valkyries, and this is like what that's what I think of. I just have the 4 horse chariots just running forward, and then c5. And I got a position that I've had many, many times in Blitz. Javokhir played bishop g4, which is actually a smart move. Most people here develop the knight, and this allows me to play f5. And this is actually much more dangerous than it looks for black. There's a lot of lines here. You just get a completely crushing attack with white. Javokhir went here, and then I won his bishop. He jumped in with the knight. I went here. And normally, here, after you, like, make another improving move, and black plays like knight d7, with white, you generally move the king to h1 to avoid any attack, to avoid anything on the dark squares. I think I did play king h1. Okay, I went knight d5, but I think on the next move, or one of these moves, I played king h1. And then you play b3, and you just have a better position. Your position's very good. Black has to rely on pawn breaks of f5, b5. Black has to rely on, like, suspicious, you know, stuff in the middle of the board. And white's position is really nice. That's why I really like this line. So, as always, I ruin my position instantly. Here, knight d5 was bad because this just allows him to trade the knight. Instead, I should play king h1 and maybe e5 and slowly build up the position. E5 straight away is not as good, but the idea is e5 followed by f5. This is the critical idea. The bishop is blocked. My bishops are alive and well. None of that matters. I ruin my position instantly, and Javokhir begins wrecking the center with f5. And now I'm thinking, all right, let's take. And now the best line is to take the knight. I'm like, do I need to do that now? Can I just move this bishop back so that he can't take me? All of a sudden, he's in my face. All of a sudden, he's swarming me with his pieces. All of a sudden, I'm going to lose another game, right? I'm going to lose another game to Javokhir, and I'm going to, I'm going to get posterized. Knight to g3 is a threat. I have to protect with my king. He's playing rook e7. Every piece in his position has arrived with authority. Rook e7, rook e8, rook e3. What do? Here's what I do. Time to take the knight. And now, I mean, I'm the guy, right? I'm the guy for the job. Here you can play some boring moves like b4 to undermine this. Or you could sacrifice the rook. Rook takes d4. Now, is this a good move? Hell no. Absolutely not. I just gave away a rook for a bishop. But I did do something, okay? I removed an active piece from my position, and I removed a backwards defender of the king. Everything in black's position is pointed in this direction, right? And when I play queen d3, I'm threatening this and this. And my king is safe. And the most important thing in bullet, if the position is more or less equal, is a safe king. Like, if your king's totally safe, your moves are easier. The moves to defend a king and the ghosts you see with low time are very different. So here with black, you're seeing bishop b2, queen d4, mate in some lines. Rook f3, rook g3, mate. Even if it's not mate, you're seeing that it's mate. Now, he could, of course, play queen f6. And that would have been reasonable. I would have went here. He could play rook e4. I would go rook d1. He probably saw all of this and was like, well, I'm still going to lose the pawn. He probably did not like this. Now, it's okay. He actually can still hold this position, right? But he spent some time, and then he went rook e4, and I went queen c2. So now I'm looking this way, and I still have this idea, which I think might have caught him a little off guard. I went rook f3, and he's up 13 seconds on the clock, but he panics. He panics with this coming, or maybe he was just distracted. I have no idea. Like, that's the truth. Javokhir could have been playing this game while watching a movie and scrolling social media. I have no idea, right? For me, it was like a massive occasion. For him, it was, giving a couple of games away for the idiot on YouTube. Rook g3 is there, queen c7 is there, bishop b2 is there, and Javokhir spent some time and went rook e1. And he totally missed the point of my attack. I don't know what he thought here. Maybe he thought he's just moving his king and then going rook h1 to try to deflect my king away. I don't know, but he walks directly into a checkmating attack. And it is really, truly over on the spot. His king can only go there. And then I play rook g7 and queen d7 is just mate. And if he blocks with the queen, I take this pawn and he can't escape. It's mate. It's just mate. So he went rook e1. I was like, we just beat Sindarov 2 times. Now let's beat Sindarov 11 times. All right? We're not afraid anymore. We're kind of afraid. Now the match went back, the match went back to how it was going. This game was completely nuts. So in the third, I'm trying to win 3 games in a row. I get a little bit too crazy. What happens when Gotham gets a little too crazy? He starts attacking like a lunatic with h5, g5. Now against the bad player, this works. Against the good player, it doesn't work at all. He played h4, which was completely unnecessary. He could have already punished me with d4. Here I played an absolutely moronic move, like just so stupid. I mean, you can push, you can take. I went here and just blundered a pawn, so I'm just pawn down. But like I said, throughout this match, I would constantly get really stupidly bad positions, but I would defend them, I would fight back, and then I would get chances. So watch as Javokhir has the bishop pair and an extra pawn against me, right? This is an upcoming candidate. He's blowing me off the board at this point. He's going to open up the center. My king is here. I have to castle. He plays pawn takes d6. I'm going to lose all the coverage in front of my own king. I take on c3. I'm opening up his rook like an idiot. At any moment, he can play bishop takes, because if I take with a queen, he has a fork. If I take with a pawn, he has queen a6. I'm staring at bishop c6. He's not playing it, okay? Doesn't matter, because he has literally all his pieces developed, and I got nothing developed. I go rook e8. Is +6. He goes here. I go knight e5. Somehow I'm surviving. Like, I don't understand. Now he trades with me. Then he goes here. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm forked. But check out this counter. Bishop takes f2 check. And when he goes here, I win his knight back. And I'm like, am I even losing? Because if he takes, I take. Now, I am losing. Make no mistake. You can't play chess without 2 pieces. It's just not possible. But I'm also up on time. I'm like, okay, I'm in his head. He just beat me 5 times. I beat him twice. I'm in his head. I've got to be in his head. There's no other explanation. Queen g4, pawn takes, knight f6. I've equalized the game, and I have 3.5 extra seconds. I'm about to win 3 games in a row against the guy who's going to play for the world championship. I mean, bro, if I win 3 games in a row against Sindarov, it's a wrap. Take him out. There's no chance. You gotta put me in there. All right. I go knight f6, queen g6. And, I'm stupid, so with 4.5 seconds extra, I proceed to generationally sell this game. I give a check because I can. There was no other explanation. Like, if I play the move rook g8, I'm nearly winning the game. I just panic because everything is protected. There's no threat here. He has to go queen d3. It's a miracle he's not just lost. He has to trade queens, and then he'll survive the endgame. So rook g8 is just winning. You know what's not winning? Putting your queen on the same line as the rook and the bishop in front of your king. That's not how you play the game. And after rook b1, you know what's really not winning? Going freaking here and losing your queen. Now, Javokhir is down 6 seconds because he needed to spend a little bit of time processing the idiotic moves unfolding in front of him. So he gives me the rook and the bishop for the queen. And now he has 7 seconds. I have nearly double his time to survive. He goes rook d6. I bring my knight back to attack his rook. He trades off the rook. Now, he has 5.7 seconds to win this. Queen g4 back. I go rook d8. I can't check him. I'm running my piece around. And even here, 3.5 seconds on the clock, I probably should go give checks. That's probably the way to win this game on time. Rook d6, rook d1, you burn a little bit of clock time. He pre-moves this. See, had I went here, which would have been smarter, but he pre-moves this. Now he has 3.3 seconds to beat me. Every move is pre-moved. He hangs his queen. Pre-moves this as well. The better move would have been knight g3, knight h5 in hindsight. And then with 1.9 seconds on the clock. Bro, he pre-moves the rest of the game. He pre-moved the rest of the game. And I ran this way instead of running to the center. So I lose. All right, it's back to exactly where it started. Now, this game we had, this was an exciting game as well. All right, I was really excited after picking up these wins. The next few games are just bangers, all right? They are exciting back and forth affairs. I was attacking him. I played my favorite A3 Sicilian. I basically played the E4 course, like, on repeat in this match. I played several of my courses. Got some nice positions. I had nice positions from the opening, 0.7 advantage against the candidate. You know, long castle, here we go. I probably should open up the game here, but I went for rook e1 and then knight back to e2 and g4. So in this game, he's going to start attacking my king, and I'm going to start attacking his king, and it is pandemonium on the board. He goes e5, and then he goes f6 to close the position, and then he gets his king out of the way. I put my knight on f5, and I'm in there. He goes b5, so he's coming to get my king. I go knight g3 because my idea is to take his knight and replace it with another knight. But his attack is much faster. He plays bishop c5, getting out of the way. I grab a pawn. He goes c3. He arrives on my shores. Now I have to do something. I need to go takes. He takes there. My king's running to the middle. D takes c3, queen e3. Can't lose my knight over there, which is protected by the rook. And I'm also trying to go rook f6. He plays b4, activating his light squared bishop. But here comes rook f6. I'm threatening a lot of stuff. I mean, I have bishop d5 on the table. I'm going to pin him over here. Rook f7 with queen a7 ideas. Knight f7 is a fork. He goes here. He finds the best move. The top computer move in this position is sacrificing this bishop in front of my king. If he doesn't play that move, if he plays like king b7, white is winning. Like, the margin of error, it's -4, but if and only if black goes here, and he plays this move in 1.9 seconds, he sacrifices his bishop. But the point is, I have to move my king up and then rook d2, and he's going to win everything. He gets in with the knight, he takes this. I just start pushing. I'm like, bro, I gotta get the pawn to g7. I have no other alternative. He goes rook c8, and then he takes my bishop. And then I go g6, and he plays c2, and I go g7. We're both queening, but it's just not... It's not good enough. It's not good enough. He has too many pawns. He has too many pawns. These pawns are too strong. These pawns are not strong enough. And ultimately, Javokhir checkmates me. I mean, it was a fun game. Like, we both were ripping in on each other, but he got to my king. And that ultimately was the difference. But I won 2 games in the Scandinavian. You know, this one was a Scandinavian that turned into a Caro-Kann. I beat Javokhir Sindarov in 20 moves with the Caro-Kann. I think he must have fallen asleep in the middle of this game, to be honest with you. He played like this. You know, I went for the typical stuff like this. And then in this game, I hung my bishop. Like, I straight up trapped my own bishop here. I went queen a5. And I'm sitting there thinking, why is Javokhir not playing bishop d2? Now, I think he's not playing bishop d2. My idea here was something like knight takes d4, takes, and I would maybe activate on the d file. Like, he probably saw this, looked at knight e4, saw queen e5, and rejected the whole line. And he's actually correct. This is kind of insane. So it looks like I'm just losing a piece, but it's not so clear. He goes queen d2. And I just sacrificed my bishop because my idea is to attack on the d file. So he has to play a couple of accurate defensive moves. He plays this, I go long castle, and I'm ready with rook d4, knight d4, knight e5, etc. He goes here, and I play h5. h5 is a nice move. h5 is a really nice move. The idea is to target the pawn, and if the pawn moves, the knight gets to f5 hitting this. So he has to be very timely here. He tanks some time, he takes this, I take on g4, he's still winning, he's up a piece, but his king is on the back rank. It's not so easy to move all the pieces, all right? He goes here, and that's just a mistake. Not because I can take the pawn on d4 with my knight, but because I can sacrifice my rook again, 2 times in the same video. Rook takes d4. He can't actually take this, because when I go here, I hit the queen, and then I win the pawn. So I'm gonna win both pawns in the middle, and he actually just totally panics here. He should have went here, allowed this, bishop e3, something like rook d8, and then f5, and I mean, position's insanely sharp. White has to lose a queen here. But once I got this, and he moved his queen, I was like, wait, I can just take his knight now. And he can't do this because he's gonna lose a rook. So he went here, we traded, I took on e5, rook d8, and black is just better now. You know, I have a knight and a couple of pawns, the bishop is hanging, and in the endgame, which we're not gonna get to because it's bullet, black is promoting 3 pawns. Like, the pawns will just go. Whether there's queens on or no queens, pawns are gonna just go. He went here. That's check. I went here. He went here. Because he realized I have rook c8, but he walked directly into the bishop being pinned to the queen. I played f5, and I gotta give this man credit. He is a sportsman. He resigned. He resigned this position because he was just gonna lose a bishop. I actually think if we played this out, I would have shat my pants, and I would have lost. That's what would have happened. All right. The rare Gotham bad word 25 minutes into the video. Sorry if you're, watching this. You got to teach him one day. I think I would have crapped my pants. I would have lost. But he resigned, and then he just got back to beating me. I really like this game. I tried to go for a gambit against Javokhir, and this just shows like the positional technique that he has. Very impressive. So in this game, check this out. So in this game, Javokhir gets a position against me. I had to move knight c5 here, but I was playing very defensively. He gets a position where he has an extra, no, he doesn't have an extra pawn, but he has the bishop pair, and he has a queenside majority of 2 pawns versus 1, okay? So that means that in theory, at any given moment, he can start pushing those pawns, and he could get a very good position, right? He could just start advancing B, A, and just win. But that doesn't actually happen in games. I mean, you can't just, like, do absolutely nothing except push your B and A pawns to the opponent and then just beat them. Or apparently you can. I was like, as this game was going on, I'm like, I'm getting 2,700 in this game. I mean, this is number 6. This is a top 5 player in the world. And I'm just playing him in bullet, and like, he's killing me. It's just like... He's just destroying me, dude. But I got one. I got one more game. I played him in an A3 Sicilian. I beat him in a Scandinavian. I beat him in an A3 Sicilian. I can be happy, all right? And I'll play him happily anytime. I got my typical attacking game, F3, G4, very offbeat stuff. I pushed all his pieces back. And in this game, I think he really overthought things. Like, ultimately, we traded the bishop for the knight early on. But after queen d2, unpinning myself and threatening to take this bishop and threatening to long castle, my attack near his king, combined with this, like, long-range sniper bishop, is very deceiving. Plus, I have knight h2 when I wanted, so if he waits, I'm gonna take. He makes this trade, but that only improves my attack. f5 is coming, long castle is coming. This bishop is a real problem for black. You will remember in the previous game that we played, the A3 Sicilian game, this one, he got a pawn storm rolling, but in this game there's no pawn storm. He's like 3-4 moves away. He tries to start one, but I'm first. Like, I'm threatening already. He has to defend himself. I long castle, he goes b5. He's gonna get b4, but guess what? I'm getting out of the way. I'm gonna get rid of his attacking piece, and actually it's worse than that. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna hit both pawns, and if he plays e5, I'm gonna trap his bishop. So probably he still needs to commit to this, but after knight takes, pawn takes, I could probably even go here. And even though he's going to get both rooks pointing at my king, that is not the same as a pawn storm. Rooks are scary, but not when they can't actually take anything. And so, folks, c3 to block him out, Knight f4, and Javokhir just resigned. Now, I think around here, again, he must have gotten distracted. He spent like 15 seconds on his next move. I can't possibly think that he would have just broken the flow of the game and, like went here. I think he was probably distracted. Probably watching the stream. I don't know. I was, I was laughing a lot while playing, but and cracking some stupid jokes. But yeah, I was very happy. It was a cool attack. It's kind of cool how you can get all this going, and black is just lost. I mean, if he takes on f5, I play g6, I rip open the position, e6 is collapsing. If he were to take like this, I don't have to take. I can just take on g6 anyway because of the pin. c4, I take the rook, and I just win. So yeah, and then he beat me one more time for good measure. The final score was 11-4. It could have been worse. I think I actually ended with net positive points. I think losing to him, I lose 3 or 4. And winning, I gained 10 or 11. So it was very close. Very, very close in the end. It was a pleasure to play him. I don't actually take these games too seriously. This is bullet chess being played in a Romanian hotel room. And from the US in the evening. But it was cool. I got to play Sindarov, and I don't think I'm ever going to get to play Sindarov. So, yeah. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. And you know the drill. Get out of here.